Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started in just another minute or so, just to give people plenty of time to join in. So bear with us, and we'll be back in about a minute. All right, looks like we have a good number of participants, so we are going to get started. First and foremost, I wanted to thank everyone for joining us today. My name is Becca McCarthy, and I am the Director of Marketing here at Logic Broker. I'm joined today by my colleague, Nikki Antonelli, who is the Director of Partner Strategy, and our wonderful partner, Kevin Klein, the Manager of Solution Providers at Shipstation. Before we get started, I just wanted to go over a couple of housekeeping items. This webinar is being recorded.
Hey, Becca, I don't think anyone. I'm getting noticed that they can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
Are you on? Are you on mute by chance?
No, I'm not.
Oh, she said she can now. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay, wonderful. All right. All right. So just in case anyone missed it, I'm Becca McCarthy, Director of Marketing at Logic Broker. And I'm joined by my colleague, Nikki Antonelli, the Director of Partner Strategy at Logic Broker, and our wonderful partner, Kevin Klein, the Manager of Solution Providers at Shipstation. So before we jump into everything, I know you gotta love these, the new normal, trying to just adjust to everything, working from home, all kinds of unforeseen issues arising, but we're here and we're so excited to talk to you about selling with Amazon Vendor Central. Just a couple of items before we get started. This webinar is being recorded. We will share the recording with you in a follow-up email that will be sent out later this afternoon. And we will be holding a Q&A portion at the end of today's webinar. So please feel free to submit any questions you might have in your questions box at the GoToWebinar panel. And I think that should be enough to help us jump right into it. So for today's agenda, I will let Nikki and Kevin just kind of introduce themselves a little bit more before we dive into the Logic Broker and Shipstation features. We'll go into what exactly is Amazon Vendor Central and the benefits unlocked by utilizing the platform. We'll do a deep dive into the top 6 challenges associated with selling on Amazon Vendor Central, and then how Logic Broker and Shipstation work together to drive results and alleviate any of those perceived pain points. And like I mentioned, we will conclude with a Q&A. So without further ado, I'm gonna pass things over to Nikki. Let me just give her the credentials.
Great, thanks Becca for the introduction, and thanks everyone for joining us on this fine afternoon. Again, I'm Nikki Antonelli, Director of Partnership Strategy with Logic Broker. Been with the wonderful team for about a year. Prior to that, I've worked as a buyer in multiple different categories for about 7 years. And Kevin, you want to give a little quick intro of yourself there?
Yeah, hey, I'm Kevin Klein. I'm the manager of the Solution Provider Group. Been with Shipstation about 3 years. If you don't know what a solution provider is, that's just a vague term for basically any partner that we work with at Shipstation that helps us fulfill our core mission of helping our merchants sell and ship products wherever they might be doing so.
Awesome, thanks. So let's dive right into our webinar today. So we'll start with a little bit about Logic Broker. So Logic Broker, we provide next generation of EDI and dropship technology that really unites retailers and brands and the systems they rely on. So we basically help facilitate orders and the order flow through retailers and brands, and transmit back tracking information, shipping information, order summaries, and acknowledgements. Oh, excuse me. Trying to just switch on over to the next slide here so Kevin can talk about Shipstation. Becca, did you pass the credentials over? I'm having a hard time switching over.
Oh, there we go. There might just be a little bit of a lag. I see I see it now. Well, thanks again for having us on this this webinar. If you don't know about Shipstation, Shipstation is a world-class fulfillment application. It's a web-based fulfillment application that integrates with the likes of 100 plus different what we call selling channels. These are places where orders could potentially be generated. It could be a marketplace or a shopping cart. It could be an order management system. It could be Logic Broker is a selling channel for us, or it could be an ERP. And the idea is that that we empower our users to aggregate their orders and those orders that they need to have fulfilled into a central dashboard where they can then do pick, pack, and ship through a variety of different shipping carriers, right? So UPS, USPS, FedEx, those types of things. So they can create those shipping labels and have that tracking information sort of seamlessly correspond back to wherever that order generated from.
Great, yes, and thanks for partnering with us, Kevin and Shipstation team, on telling our audience today, or showing our audience today on a better together solution for selling on Amazon Vendor Central. Okay, if we can just move on to the next slide.
I'll switch it for you, Nikki. It looks like we might be having a little bit of a snafu.
No worries. Okay, great. Here we go. So we partnered together today to kind of, again, talk about our Better Together solution. So now that Kevin and I talked about Logic Broker and Shipstation, here's some of our features together as our powerhouse solution. So I'll kick it off with Logic Broker. So with Logic Broker, we really strive on having no per order fees. And really, what does that mean? So we have a subscription-based monthly flat fee. So this enables our customers to have predictable margins with having that annual subscription. Makes it so much easier for financial planning and kind of knowing upfront what their annual costs will be. And that includes, we have no per kilo character fees or no per order fees. In addition to that, with our partnership, we really have an easy setup through our direct API connection keys with Shipstation. So because we have that connection with them, we do all the heavy lifting up front and are able to integrate pretty simple and fast. So that's kind of is the onboarding and processing for Logic Broker. And if Kevin, you want to go into how we kind of pivot into how that helps with the branded packing slips and the purchase orders and the ASN.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, obviously there's a lot of features here that can really, I think, make your life and when you're doing EDI drop shipping a lot easier with Logic Broker and Shipstation. I think the real value, and it's easy to talk about features and really get into that aspect of it, but I think the real value of this is time and money through efficiency. Logic Broker and Shipstation have sort of collaborated to really create a fantastic solution that, to Nikki's point, is really easy to like set up and doesn't really cost the merchant all that much in terms of cost to set up and to maintain. And then they give you things like the branded packing slip. So in EDI drop shipping, there's and this was new to me as I sort of got into EDI a couple of years ago, and in my background in manufacturing. When you're doing drop shipping, there's this concept of a branded packing slip that the retailer makes you put in the box, basically, when you fulfill a product. And Logic Broker has really done a great job of getting that packing slip into Shipstation and fairly easily through a link on the order level detail. What you would see within Shipstation is that 850. So if you're not familiar with EDI, 850 is essentially just a purchase order, right? This is a retailer saying, hey, we've got something that we've sold on our website and we need to send it to you. And that's going to come across into Shipstation as an order. You're going to see it as an order like you would in any other one of our selling channels. And the loop to that, the end of the loop on an 850 is that pesky 856, which is called an advanced ship notice, right? Which is essentially a notification to the retailer that, hey, we've created a tracking number for this, or we've created a shipping label. And I think that's really where Shipstation comes in, because while it might be easy to create a tracking number seamlessly, or in a manual way, doing that at scale when you have thousands of drop ships coming in from Amazon to lots of different locations can be kind of a challenge, right? So our solution seamlessly integrates with Logic Broker to generate that 856. And then they give you, Nikki, I have to admit, it's been a little while since I've seen that web portal, but last time I saw it, it was fantastic. And there's a lot of really great things you can do within the portal, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a really robust portal at Logic Broker. It's really, some key features is we have dashboards that you're able to track compliant, non-compliant orders as soon as you sign on with easy searchable functions. So for instance, if you sign on to the dashboard and you see a non-compliant order, you can click right on that non-compliant and search by SKU, by order number, or by supplier, and easily resolve that non-compliant order. We also have very easy ways to track your orders. So you can stay on top of your order from the time it was put into the system all the way from the time that it's delivered to the end user. And what's really unique with our portal is that we can actually track the information from the time it leaves the dock. Some other portals, they have tracking features, but you don't really necessarily know when it leaves that dock to get to that end user.
Yep. Yeah, I think all of that together equals it's just a great solution for someone who it really wants to scale with Amazon Vendor Central, and yeah, I think that web portal is a big part of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It eliminates a lot of room for error through the system, and just being able to also kind of track your vendors. It's kind of one robust solution for our suppliers or retailers today.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So now that we talked about our solution together, let's jump into more specifics around Amazon Vendor Central. It's also referred to, and you'll hear me refer it back to, and I'm sure Kevin as well, as ABC. So here I'll just, read you the plain definition of ABC, or Amazon Vendor Central. So it's a web interface used by suppliers and distributors. Selling on Amazon Vendor Central classifies those suppliers and distributors as first-party sellers. So really, what does that mean in layman's terms, right? Anyone can read off a definition. So it gives the ability for vendors to sell on Amazon with the backing shipped and sold by Amazon, which is a trusted value proposition for vendors, suppliers today. But then that vendor and supplier fulfills the order after it's placed through Amazon. So that is the drop shipping piece of Amazon Vendor Central. With Amazon Vendor Central and talking to our different customers, different industries,
Nikki, we might have lost you there for a second.
I think we lost lost her audio, but I think what she was trying to say. Oh, are you back there, Nikki? Oh, she can hear us.
Nope.
The perils of an at-home webinar.
I think we've covered the gambit. Oh, she's back.
I think she's back.
Wait.
Yeah, she's back. There
Testing,
you go. Sorry,
testing.
Nikki. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Well, welcome. No worries.
Okay, so I'm like scrambling. I'm checking the audio, the phone. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not exactly sure where I left off.
You were talking about how the value of being able to have shipped and sold products by Amazon, and why that's important to the end user.
Perfect. I'm sure most of us are Amazon shoppers today, so I think it's fair to say is when we see that shipped and sold by Amazon, we know that our products are going to arrive in a timely manner. We can easily track that product. And what's one of our biggest challenges today is with some of the retailers and brands is having a simplified return process. And by having that shipped and sold by Amazon label on products, it kind of eases the mindset of purchasing those products. So that's another key benefit on selling on ABC. And additional promotional features are also a great benefit for selling on ABC. For instance, the subscribe and save. So if you're a supplier or vendor and you have your products listed on Amazon, you basically have an upsell is what I like to call it by adding that subscription and save feature. It helps you really retain that customer if you're promoting that subscribe and save additional functionality. And it doesn't necessarily have to be subscribe and save where you're offering an additional discount and maybe taking a little bit of a margin hit, but just simply having the option to create a subscription model on some of your products can also help generate additional monthly revenue. And then last, when you're selling on ABC or Amazon Vendor Central, you have the opportunity to utilize some of their marketing services. So when you're uploading product content to Amazon directly or through Logic Broker's product catalog feature, you can utilize some of their content tools for that A+ content, which is really important on selling on not just Amazon's e-commerce web interface, but also many different sites, whether it's your own core site or different retailer marketplaces that you're selling on today. So I thought that was kind of cool in doing our research back when we started this integration months ago. I didn't know that. Actually, even being a buyer for several years, I didn't know Amazon offered that feature. It helps not only like with the content and images, but also with video of the products as well as different attributes too. So that's all the great stuff about selling on Amazon Vendor Central. So with every pro, there are some challenges or cons. So we just wanted to walk through those as well today and talk with Kevin and teams on how we can help kind of put those challenges at rest or give you a peace of mind that, hey, we're here together to help put all of those maybe hesitations or questions behind you, and that you know that Logic Broker and Shipstation work hand in hand together to help execute a flawless integration with Amazon today. Awesome. We want to move on to the next slide. So in working with our clients on a daily basis, I think together, Kevin, if you want to keep me on the straight and narrow path here, that I think we've identified some top 6 challenges that are associated with selling on Amazon Vendor Central, from the time just to even setting up your accounts to adhering through questions on EDI expenses, EDI Vendor Central portal, chargeback concerns, and then some of the strict guidelines that Amazon has in place when it comes to shipping labels and packing slips. So I know, from my end, Logic Broker end, and working with different retailers and brands through our connected commerce network, helping them, whether it's a retailer, increasing their breadth of assortment, specifically Amazon, or a brand looking to go onto Amazon, there's always that concern. Well, how do I get set up? Anybody can go and Google how to get set up on Amazon Vendor Central, and you just see pages and pages of documentation. With partnering with Logic Broker, we've worked on this integration. We have a dedicated team, our client delivery team, that works with our suppliers hand in hand on the integration. From the time basically the setup starts by having an executed signed agreement with Amazon, and then creating that Amazon Vendor Central account. We work in tandem with our suppliers today in setting up those accounts, which entails also creating surveys. So our suppliers, our customers are more than welcome to go into Amazon Vendor Central to request what's called an EDI self-service setup to kind of get that ball rolling and get the accounts created. And we're also willing to do that for you as well, as long as, of course, we have the proper credentials. And it's pretty easy from there with our team of experts. Once the surveys are complete and we have access to the EDI sections, then we can work also in tandem through selecting product IDs and different measurement tools. And that's really needed when you're doing the setup process with Amazon Vendor Central, because it's used when Amazon is placing orders. So it identifies unit of measure, what type of information also known as identifiers in Amazon Vendor Central, to kind of put that upfront setup process first and foremost, and that makes everything else follow suit a little bit seamlessly. So another challenge that we've identified, not only the difficult or potential difficulties to navigate and set up, is that EDI expenses are unpredictable and inventory is expensive to send. And it's not so much that it's expensive through Amazon Vendor Central. I think within the EDI industry, it can be deemed expensive, as if you're working with certain retailers like Amazon who are requiring multiple daily inventory file updates, it could come with a per transaction fee. But don't fear, Logic Broker is here. Sorry, I always throw that in. So as we said in the beginning, Logic Broker takes a different approach on the pricing model. Again, we are a subscription fee, or our pricing is a subscription fee, so we have that flat monthly rate. So whether you're uploading inventory files 10 times a day, 1,000 times a day, or pulling your tracking information several times a day, there's no per transaction fee, because that's all within your subscription fees. So many of us may know today on the call, I know working in the industry, that traditional EDI involves mapping and setup of VAN and AS2, and that can really eat into your monthly costs. So working with Amazon, we know that they support 3 connection methods, including AS2, Amazon hosted SFTP, and then the VAN. How we connect is we use AS2 protocol to eliminate those VAN charges. So for every integration, Amazon will then generate a new AS2 package, which includes a unique certificate URL and AS2 ID. So once you're given those 2 packages, there's one for testing and then one for production. So at Logic Broker, we have what's called our stage portal as well as our production portal. So once we have those 2 packages, we do everything in stage. And again, this is no additional cost. You may hear of Sandbox or other companies use what's called a testing environment, which sometimes entails an additional fee. And here at Logic Broker, we do not. We want to make sure that before we go live in production, that everything is tested in stage, so we have a seamless integration with Amazon. So I think I've kind of covered that initial setup process and some of the features through Logic Broker, and kind of answer any questions as far as maybe how to get started and address any concerns on EDI expenses or traditional EDI. I think, Kevin, I think this might be a good chance to pivot into talking about, some of the concerns we've talked about early on in this process on the vendor center web portal itself, and some of those strict guidelines on those packing slips and shipping labels that Amazon does require, and kind of how Shipstation and Logic Broker can help adhere to those strict guidelines.
Yeah, precisely. And I think that's a good sort of explanation of like what it's like to interact with what is one of the biggest retailers in the world, and Amazon, an e-commerce retailer. And for anyone who's ever done business with them, you'll know that, or any large big box kind of retailer, is that they have really strict protocols on how you engage with them, right? And it's one thing to Nikki's point on how to get the just getting the PO, just getting set up as a vendor, just to send products to their distribution center is a very challenging process, and they have very strict standards for that, and those strict standards carry through to their dropship network. So they have very strict standards in the way that you ship something. For example, how you interact with, the getting the PO is hard enough, right? Getting the PO from Amazon, but then what to do with it is sort of the next hurdle or the next logistical challenge. And sure, they give you a web portal that you can go in and create labels and click, and but when I can tell you from my experience as a manufacturer is that when Amazon starts sending you dropship orders, they can come pretty fast and they can come pretty numerous. And suddenly you've got 1,000 orders that you might have to click, go into a web portal and click through, can be extremely clunky to do. And so those manual processes really slow you down. And let's face it, if you make mistakes or you do anything wrong, Amazon monetizes that in the form of a chargeback. So if you don't know what a chargeback is, if you've never done anything with big box retailers, it's basically a fee for your mistake. Your mistake is at that point not just costing you time, it's costing you money. And Amazon looks at that as, you've costed us time, therefore we're charging you for it because you didn't follow our procedures. And that carries through in the dropship world too. They have very strict requirements on shipping labels and packing slips. And Shipstation really kind of helps you solve all of that, right? So with using Shipstation, you're out of the web portal, essentially. You don't have to interact with the web portal because Logic Broker is going to send you that PO into Shipstation to fulfill. And so now you're in a UI-friendly or a user-friendly UI that allows you to pick, pack, and ship, and it reduces all of those errors. Those errors can be automated within Shipstation, like third-party billing, for example. You have to build Amazon's UPS or USPS account or basically whatever carrier they tell you. And you need to be able to automate that, right? Because if you can't automate that, then the chances of you making a mistake are pretty high. And Logic Broker does a great job of sending us the compliant packing slips so that our users can just download them within our app through a link that allows them to pull up the correct packing slip. And just gives you the ability to reduce all the human error, all the things that can go wrong at scale, right? Because let's face it, logistics, logistics can be pretty challenging, right? I mean, there's all these rules, all these requirements. Warehouse employees could be new, you could be hiring new people, and you don't have time as a merchant to make those mistakes, and they can be very costly, especially if you're getting hit with a lot of chargebacks. So Shipstation helps you generate that 856 automatically. We call it automating the ASN. That's how we think about it at Shipstation. We help you create those labels. You can print those labels in Shipstation so that the folks in the warehouse and the folks who are actually fulfilling this order, all they have to focus on is printing those labels, getting those labels on boxes, getting the product out the door, and having that information go back to Logic Broker and let Logic Broker handle the compliance around dealing with Amazon, which can be quite a hassle from my experience.
Absolutely. And Kevin, just to kind of elaborate a little bit more and just some additional detail, I thought, it's kind of relevant. Can you talk a little bit about the third-party billing and how Shipstation, their platform or portal, helps utilize the ease of the third-party billing?
Yeah, precisely. So Shipstation, in addition to being this great sort of integration platform that helps you aggregate your selling orders and get your selling channel orders, including AVC orders, It has this. ShipStation also has a pretty robust automation engine built into it.
Yes, it does.
That allows our merchants to take the guesswork out of the rules that may need to be conformed to for any given selling channel. So in the case of Amazon Vendor Central, they do require that you bill to a specific account for each order, and they tell you when you get what they call the 850. When the 850 comes across from Logic Broker, it's going to be mapped with that information. So ShipStation is going to see it. It's going to say, oh, okay, this needs to ship via UPS or it needs to ship via FedEx, and it's going to flag that order and then automatically take that action to bill to third party. So a lot of I think about it in terms of just once you set up that rule, you just leave it and forget about it, right? Because it's already done. It's baked in to every order that gets imported into ShipStation. And that's just one of many automation rules that ShipStation might have to be EDI compliant. And make sure that you're not getting charged back, right? Because I can tell you, if you print an Amazon Vendor Central label on your account and you send it out to a partner, Amazon's going to charge you for that. They're going to hit you with a chargeback, or if you make any other kind of mistake. And I can tell you, having done this, having made mistakes as a manufacturer and engaging with Amazon, we've sent Amazon has sent us a PO for product, and then we sent that product to them, and they sent us a chargeback for basically the amount of profit we would have made on that particular order. So it can be really costly to make those mistakes, and that's what our application's here to help you do on the logistics side, is just clean that up and take the guesswork out of it.
Right, absolutely. And I think that's a really important statement as well, because when you're working on a dropship model, certain categories and products typically have thin margins as to begin with. So really automating and using our solutions and having that functionality to reduce human error. Let's face it, we all maybe have fat fingered numbers or had typos. That helps that chance of even eroding margin even more.
Yeah, precisely. You can't afford to make mistakes in a dropship model.
Awesome. So just to kind of wrap things up, sum things up, kind of just reiterate our Logic Broker and ShipStation solution really drives results. If you kind of look at it from the start on the Logic Broker end of it, we help facilitate those initial POs and manage your orders through the pick and pack order and manage inventories, and our robust web portal where you're able to review your orders, again, your acknowledgments and your tracking information, and then utilizing ShipStation to help create those compliant labels, as well as automating those updates as orders are flowing through the whole process.
Yeah, the story I like to tell, I've had a couple of users, and there's a great case study out there we wrote a couple years ago with a company called Dell Hudson, between Logic Broker and
Hudson,
yeah, well, and I always like to tell this story because I think it's cool, and I like how blunt the quotes are out of that case study if you get a chance to read it. But like basically, Dell Hudson was a customer of ours, and I think they were already doing maybe some marketplace strategy, right? So they were selling on like an Amazon Seller Central, for example, right, on the marketplace, or selling on Etsy or something like that. But they wanted to expand their selling channel, capabilities, and I think it was Amazon Vendor Central that they ended up expanding it to. So it's super relevant to this webinar. But I think the quote I always like out of that is, why can't I do my Amazon Vendor Central orders the same way I do as marketplace orders, right? And the answer, I think, for a long time was, well, it's EDI and you can't have that, and there's no there's no solution in place that makes that just as seamless as it is with the other ones, until Logic Broker came around and pretty much we got this customer onboarded, and then his workflow became just the same that it was for any other selling channel that he might be interacting with on ShipStation. I mean, those orders come in, it's all automated. The warehouse folks print labels, and it's seamless for them, and letting sort of Logic Broker take care of the compliance around automating that 856 and the issues on keeping Amazon automating those updates. And it really allowed them to scale their business. I mean, I think that's the critical thing, is that I'm always thinking about value, right? And we could talk about features all day, but the real value here is it saves you time and money in the form of reducing chargebacks or eliminating chargebacks.
Sure.
and just scaling your business and letting you focus on what you want to do, which is grow your business and not worry about the headaches of logistics, which is a big part of it.
Right. And just to add to that a little bit more, like with our automated solutions too, I think John, who is their CEO, who had like reached out to us personally to help him automate that process, we were able to eliminate 6 hours of his time a day of processing orders
Right.
to just, right, less than an hour a day. So what did that give him ultimately the opportunity to do was to focus on other ways to generate revenue. He wasn't spending numerous hours a week just trying to process orders to get out the door.
Exactly. I'm always shocked at that when we encounter someone who's doing EDI with Amazon Vendor Central or using their web portal, and it's taking them all this time and they can't scale. And I'm always like, well, what could you do if you could have an hour or 2 hours of your life back? What could you do for your business?
Right.
What could you do for your mental health? What could you do for just about anything? And I think that's the value of this solution is the ability to take that process, which was manual, which was cumbersome, and now take it to a process that becomes completely automated. And I mean, we have tons of mutual users together since this launched a few years ago. And I think,
Sure.
I think if you find any of them, that they would tell you that that it really had a positive impact on their business, and that's what we're going for.
Well said. So officially to wrap things up, before we go to Q&A, if we want to just go to the next slide, we here would like to cordially invite you to our annual Connected Commerce Summit. It is going to be held September 10th, 2020. This is a great opportunity to network with different retailers like Fossil, Coca-Cola, Orange Theory, as well as some industry leaders. It is invite only. It's again, not only is it just to kind of collaborate with different members in the industry and our teams, but also to have fun. It's a very relaxed setting and very insightful to listen to some of the different speakers on e-commerce in general.
Yeah, great event. I went last year. It was awesome. Definitely go. Good speakers. It was a fun time.
Thanks, Kevin. We enjoyed your company as well.
Thank you.
It was in Nashville last year. We tried to get him the line dance, but he wasn't having it.
No, not a chance. If you could even get in, it was so crowded. It was like the summertime. It was that time of year. It was just nuts there.
Yeah. Beautiful weather, though. Good music.
Yeah. Party
Awesome.
buses everywhere.
All right.
So I know.
So do we want to?
I know we're a little over on time, but I think we have time for just one question, and we thank everyone for staying on the line with us. If we don't get a chance to answer your question, we will absolutely be following up via email shortly after. So please don't worry, we will get to your questions. But let me pick a good one. All right, I think this could be relevant to a couple people on the line. This question says, my order volume with Amazon Vendor Central is just starting. Is this solution cost effective for someone new to dropshipping?
Do you want to speak to that to the Logic Broker side real quick, Nikki, and I could talk about Shipstation?
Sure, absolutely. So setting it up as we're getting started, as far as the pricing model, it's a perfect time because you have the ability to process your orders and not have to worry about throwing an extra body or head count and doing that manual processing. And it doesn't impact your vendor scorecard. So as you know, we're setting you up now, whether you're processing just a few orders or hundreds of orders, again, we're helping adhere to those strict guidelines, and we have that setup process up front. In addition, I like to say, and I know, Kevin, I'm gonna steal your word a little bit, and we'll pivot into your take on it. This is a great investment to help you overall achieve what you're trying to do, which is grow your revenue by increasing into the Amazon selling channel.
Yeah, and just to speak to that from the Shipstation side, so Shipstation, you can check us out if you go to our website or hit me up or hit Nikki up if you guys are interested in learning more. But we have pretty affordable. We're month-to-month plans, so forwarding Shipstation is pretty economical. Um, but I would caution that individual that they may be few in orders now, but orders can happen. You could blow up overnight. And I've seen that before where a lot of merchants get flat-footed or they get too many orders all at once and they don't have a solution in place. So to Nikki's point, it really is important is to invest in the future. I wouldn't necessarily say my order volume is low today and I don't really need this solution. I would look at it and go, well, what's your order volume going to be in a few months, 6 months, right? And chances are they'll be higher as you continue to grow your business. And you don't want to be put into a situation where, to Nikki's point, your scorecard is suddenly being impacted in a negative way, or as to Nikki's point about margin, that you're suddenly making mistakes and you're losing money on every order you're fulfilling out. Why take the risk? Is kind of where my head is at on that. And yeah, exactly. It's just it's not worth it to think about it. And I mean, especially as you expand your business into the dropshipping world, it's important. And Nikki made another great point about having people putting a body on that web portal to do those things. How much is that costing you? And how much? And where else could you put that person? And the solution really does. It really does. The efficiency you gain in cost and time really, I think, outweighs the initial investment, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And we always like to say we like to be proactive versus reactive. And I think this comes into play. We all know holiday is such a large shopping season. So rather than wait to the 9th hour, I think it's always good to be proactive and get that solid order management shipping solution in play before it's too late, essentially.
Yeah, and I've worked with merchants who have opened up ABC. They were doing Seller Central. Amazon wanted to drop ship their products. They didn't think they were going to see a ton of order volume, and then Amazon sends them 500 POs through ABC overnight, right? And that's and they had no idea what to do, right? And now basically they had one person all day to the owner, like Del Hudson, for example, is a good case study, right? He was doing all this manual processing. Don't wait until it's a problem. To Nikki's point, be proactive and try to get in front of it, because it can happen faster than you think, and you just can't afford to make mistakes when it comes to dealing with a logistical behemoth and someone with strict guidelines like Amazon.
Great. Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. I think that question was very thoroughly answered.
Thank you.
So I guess I know we're a little bit over, and I just wanted to thank everyone again for staying on the line. As a big topic of this webinar was, everyone's time is really valuable, and we truly appreciate you taking your time to spend it with us today and learn a little bit more about Amazon Vendor Central and how you can really maximize the platform by partnering with Logic Broker and Shipstation. So I guess on behalf of myself and Nikki and Kevin, Logic Broker and Shipstation, we thank you all so much, and we hope to see you soon on another webinar.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Logic Broker.
All
Becca and Nikki.
Thanks every time.
Thanks for joining every time.
Thank you so much.
Anytime, every time.
Every time. Thank you.
Thanks again, guys.
Bye, everyone.
You too. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.